The way you spend time in your relationships, the quality of your relationships, and the way you spend or save all is a reflection of the stress or the trauma that you have experienced in your life. And today, we're going to dig into it. Today, we're going to talk about 5 of the different ways that trauma or stress can affect your finances and your relationships, and I guarantee you suffer from at least one of them. Number 1 is excess spending. This is actually one of the most common ones, and this one overlaps with some of the others, and you're going to see what I mean. So with excess spending, that really goes hand in hand with feeling like you're in control. That also goes hand in hand with feeling like you're sort of self-medicating. You get a little bit of a high from searching out a bargain or finding something that you really like. The other aspect of this is that it's also a little bit of self-medicating where you do get a dopamine rush. So that dopamine rush is actually a hormone that helps you to feel better. It helps you to feel more joyous. It actually pacifies and puts a blanket on some of the stress that you might be feeling in other areas of your life. What does this look like in a relationship? In a relationship, if you tend to be an overspender, one of the things that you might be doing is focusing on some external people in your life. So this might look like that you're focusing more on what your friends have, what your friends are doing, what your friends own. This might mean that your neighbors are a very heavy influence on the types of things that you purchase. You see this a lot in neighborhoods where one person starts getting trees cut down and landscaping their lawn, and all of a sudden everyone is cutting down trees, or someone gets an addition and everyone starts to get an addition, or someone gets a new car and everyone starts to, you notice a trend in everyone getting a new car. This happens even more subtly when you have children, when you go maybe to preschool or to their daycare or to their elementary school, where you notice that certain children are wearing certain types of clothing and you see a little clique, a mom group, and you suddenly think that your child needs that kind of clothing. You get very influenced by what other people have. This doesn't mean that you're being led around or that you're gullible. It just means that you're in a space of stress or trauma or past stress or trauma, and overspending and externals are a way that you help navigate your stress. On the flip side of this is excessive saving. This is number 2. You're probably wondering how excessive saving is a negative thing. Well, excessive saving can turn into hoarding very quickly. So this is the person who feels like life has taken something away from them and they feel like the world is unsafe. This can happen very gradually or all of a sudden. Interestingly, no matter how much you save, it never feels like it's enough, and you get very worried about spending or other people spending. The other flip of this is that you never feel like you have enough. So for instance, no matter how many clothes are hanging in your closet or no matter how many kitchen gadgets that you have, you always feel like you could use one more, or you're very swayed by different styles or very swayed by different online parties that sell different kitchen gadgets. You're very inclined to purchase more and more. If you have this problem with your body, you tend to be a little bit overweight. I'm not saying that everyone is. There's lots of very thin people who are hoarders, but I do see a trend in clients in the past who have been hoarding, very worried about money, and they've had a little extra meat to their bones. And the reason why this is that many clients I have found in the past have a little extra weight because they've been protecting something that has been taken away from them. This is why they have been hoarding. This is why they are excessive savers. They tend to not be able to spend money easily. They tend to not be able to easily lose weight, and they tend to feel very uncomfortable with spending in general, and they want as much stuff around them as possible, both in their body and in their environment. This also means in their relationship, they might really identify with their spouse or their partner. And so they don't feel like they have an identity beyond their partner. And again, these are just generalizations based upon the findings that I've had in my practice for 30 years. Now, this third area is going to sound a lot like it's just about money, but it's about having eyes on you, okay? So this is under-earning. Now, a lot of people, a lot of business coaches, I see this all of the time, they constantly they harp about, get what you're worth, ask more, and they really focus on a very superficial layer of why people might be under earning or not asking for what they're worth. But what it really comes down to is if you've had stress or trauma in your life and you are under earning, if you're in a position where you could be making more money in your career or within the company that you work for, or even if you work for yourself, if you could be asking for a little bit more income or a little bit higher of a fee, you're probably not doing it. Why are you not doing it? It's not just about dollars and cents. It's about self-value, and you don't want eyes on you, because under earning is a feeling of not worthy. So if you're under earning, you're never going to have a lot of eyes on you because you're not going to call attention to yourself. But if you start to become more known in your field or even known in your company as a leader, you're going to have more eyes on you and you're going to have more criticism towards you. That can feel really scary to someone who's had stress or trauma in their past. So what's the answer? Under earning. And so it's a cycle where you're under earning and you feel like that's all you're worth, but you also don't want to go higher because you're afraid of the criticism or the negativity that you think might come your way. Maybe those fears are valid, but for someone that did not have the trauma or did not have the stress or that worked through it, they're not going to care if they get minor criticism because they're going to know how to handle it. So under earning is kind of a hidden space of not feeling worthy. Now we have a whole other area, and that is overworking. So there's under earning, which might have some underworking in it, but there's also overworking. That's where everything is achievement based and everything is about getting as many hours in, getting as much income as possible. So I'm not going to call it over earning because I don't believe there's such thing as over earning, but there is overworking. And so overworking is all about self-medicating as well, because you don't feel like you have anything to offer as a person, but you see your identity as someone who is just providing things, providing money. Maybe it's providing a certain status, maybe it's providing security. It's all about providing, and it's all external, and it's very sacrificial. One of the main things that someone that overworks does is they actually sacrifice sleep. They sacrifice sleep, they sacrifice their home life, they sacrifice their health, all of the time. Many people that overwork are type A personalities, and there's a whole area of cardiopsychology that deals with type A personalities and people that just can't relax because they don't want to relax, because everything's about the external and providing. They're obsessed with their career, they're obsessed with their company, they're obsessed with racking in the hours of their work, because if they do that, they don't have to think about anything else. They're hyper-focused on their work. And once they groom their family to get used to it, their family becomes okay with it and it becomes a norm. And they're often living out their worst fear that they become known for exactly what they're doing, which is overworking. Another area that's really uncomfortable for a lot of people is being in perpetual debt. There's a lot of people that are in this space as well, and perpetual debt is about not deserving. So you feel unworthy a lot of the time, but you want the illusion of being worthy. So this is the person who is faking confidence often, faking being okay. If you ask them how they are, they often say, I'm fine. This is the person who really likes designer types of items because designer items are luxury and give a certain image, and they really love that certain image. And of course, not every luxury item is connected to someone who is overspending or in debt or needing to identify through that item. But many people who are indulging in a lot of luxury items and can't afford it are in debt. Or they don't really have assets, but they have all of these designer things. So they're giving the illusion of being very successful without being very successful. And that is a place where they don't feel worthy. This person either tends to be hyper-focused on their health, where they're working out all of the time. They may even have a very expensive gym membership, or they are denying their health and they're very focused on eating cheesecake, eating sweets all of the time, going out to eat all of the time, going out for drinks with friends all of the time. They're very indulgent. This is a person who is really not connected to their body, even if they're working out all of the time, because they're seeing everything that they're doing as a show, not necessarily only for them. So as you can see, a lot of these can really overlap, and it can be very uncomfortable. You can feel really out of control if you're doing excess of any of them, much less several of them. Most people are actually a combination of 2 or 3 of these, and it's really uncomfortable. Now, do you feel like you fit into one or several of these, and how do you self-correct if you do? Because a lot of people who do fit into these often do self-correct. If this has piqued your interest, on my website for free, I have different archetypes that are defined by value and spending. This would be very enlightening for you, perhaps. I would love for you to subscribe, ring the bell, and comment below. I have another video for you, and below I have playlist prescriptions for different areas that you might be working on right now.